this computer. Good day, this is Robert Cornicelli, President of Veterans for America First. Today I have an amazing guest on. This is a person that right away when I knew he was running for re-election, I said VFAF, Veterans for America First, has to get involved. We have to support this guy. This man's a hero. He served in the service. He served as I think it was director of parks in the town of Smithtown. He served as a councilman in Smithtown. He served as a supervisor in Smithtown. This man's about service. This is Supervisor Ed Wehrheim. Welcome.
So good morning, Rob. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see you again. You know, I miss it. I miss Smithtown a lot.
Well, we miss you too, let me tell you.
It's a good place. I just, I have two kids. At the time, I had an 8 and 12-year-old. They're 10 and 14 now, but I couldn't take the schools. I had to get them out of there.
Yeah.
I'm too set in my beliefs to have them be told something different. But
well, we don't like the fact that you had to relocate, but you're correct. Schools up here there's a lot of issues going on in the schools up here. I have 3 grandchildren, and my daughter and myself as a grandparent, we keep a very close eye on what's going on in school, because I have a lot of the very similar belief you do, as you know. So want to make sure that our kids are not being led astray.
yeah, I'm just trying to adjust the brightness on this light here. So I wrote down a whole bunch of things. Just interviewing is a great thing. Interviewing you, because you've done so much with that town. And when we first met, we were on opposite teams. Vecchio was running, and Sarge and I supported him. He was a veteran. I didn't really know you at the time, but I have to say this about you. You were always an honorable guy. You were pleasant. You were a gentleman to us. And I don't think it's just because you served and we served. I think that's just who you are. You don't take this stuff personally. You believe that others have beliefs and they have views, and they have a right to support those views and candidates who support those views. But you were a gentleman through the whole thing, and through the whole time I've known you, you've always maintained this gentleman status, and I think that's what makes you special.
Well, it's very nice of you to say that, Rob. And look, you're correct. A lot of that has to do with my upbringing. My dad, rest his soul, instilled in me. He was also in the military. He instilled in me the whole time I was growing up. You must treat people the way you want to be treated. And he also used to tell me, whatever you do in life, remember the people on your way up, because you'll meet the same people on the way down. And that stuck with me right up until today. So, yes, people have different views, and that's fine. I will always treat anyone with the utmost respect. Everybody deserves that, and I would not do it any other way. Now, that being said, as you know, politics has become kind of a nasty business. That's just a fact. It's very unfortunate, but it's a fact of life. In this particular campaign, it's a inter-party fight. As you know, it's a Republican primary. Welcome your support, of course, very important to me, because we have struck up a very good relationship. And I will tell you that I have run this entire primary election based on what I've done and my record. Unfortunately, my opponent took a different path, and he's going down that negative road. I believe, and always have, I think it loses support for him, quite frankly. I do believe the majority of people that do vote, I am a firm believer that they're tired of that negative political back and forth and mudslinging. If they're going to vote for a candidate that's going to serve the public, they want to know what you're going to do and who you are, and that's what I've done.
Yeah, I saw some of the negativity he was spewing on Facebook. I mean, he had the gall to attack Roger from Ragazzi because he put up a sign. Now that man, he didn't serve in the service, but at least, let's see, I started Veteran Recovery Coalition, I think in 2014. So you have to say about a decade. Roger has been paying. The first year I did it, I went to him. I said, I want to feed all these homeless veterans, about 300 on Long Island. There was 33 shelters. He's like, I'll do it. He's like, what do you want? And I said, whatever you can give me. He put out a spread for 33 homes. He put the portions down to the amount of people in each veteran home. And then when I went to pay him with the money I raised, he said, keep it. I want to do this every year for as long as I live. And he even put a sign up in his parking lot, veterans only. And every year we did our Christmas presents to veterans in need. You know, we had people donate presents off veterans in needs lists. Like, let's just say a guy had a daughter and she wanted a Barbie doll with blonde hair. We go out and get that exact toy and wrap it, and we do everything at his place. I mean, this guy is a patriot, and they attack him and his establishment because he put up a sign. That's who Trotta is. That's what he does. He intimidates, he attacks, and I wish some of his supporters would understand he's not a good person. This is a person who's only in there for the money. You have served your entire life. You served in the military, and please tell me more about that. You served as a member as a worker in Smithtown. You served as you're always serving. He's always serving, but he serves himself. It's all about him.
You know, Rob, that's a great analogy because you really hit the nail on the head. Excuse me. That's really who he is, and he's been like that his entire career. Um, he was a police officer, and I think this speaks volumes. He was a police officer, with the Suffolk County Police Department. Yet I have every single police agency's endorsement, from superior officers right down to the PBA. PBA are doing district walks for me with 30, 40 police personnel are going door to door. That tells you a lot about who Mr. Trotter is. He has a rather blurred past with the police department. As a legislator, when he retired and joined the Suffolk County Legislature, he was consistently opposing his colleagues. He talks about all of this open space as a big initiative of his. He's buying millions of dollars worth of open space property. While he was a county legislature, he has the support of his colleagues to buy that property, and that's fine. I do not oppose open space. However, the quarter-cent sales tax, which is the mechanism to fund the millions needed to purchase open space in Suffolk County, he voted no for that bill. So, this is who he is. He's kind of like a chameleon. And you're right on point with who he is. He will attack and intimidate, and that's who he is. He just put out a mailer, actually two of them, and they have a picture of me with dollar signs, $100 bills all swirling all around me, that I am in the pockets of developers because a developer came to Smithtown and built 61 apartments, over 10,000 feet of retail. The apartments are 100% full. They're a balance of young seniors, young professionals. There's, I think, 2 retired military with their wife in those apartments, and they're getting a place to get a start, so they could save some money and some equity. So he has me portrayed as, I guess the best way to put it, and it's kind of a cliche, show me the man, I'll find your crime. That's what he does.
It's
And
exactly what he does.
he doesn't care who it is. And in this particular instance, I have 2 children and 3 grandchildren that are right here in Smithtown. That affects them. My 2 daughters and the oldest of the grandchildren, they see these things and they're going to school. So he gives no thought about the consequences of that. And to your point, with Roger, I remember when you did all those. I attended a couple of those. You could not find a better man than Roger, and you're right. it is despicable for Rob Trotter to go intimidate him because he put a support sign up for me. But that is exactly who he is. And you know what, Rob? He's never changed, and you know that. He's never veered off of that. That's his life. That's what he does.
We had an event, one of the first events we had, he came to it. And when he wasn't the person doing the talking in front of Channel 12 and I forget what the other news station, TV station that was there, he got mad. He wanted to be the face of it. I said, Rob, you're not a veteran.
Right?
I appreciate you being here as a legislator, but this is about veterans, not about you.
Yep.
And then he caused a ruckus in Uncle Giuseppe's one time, threatening the owner that if he didn't give it to us free, they'd face consequences. I mean, he's unhinged, and he does not belong. Maybe as a legislator, yeah, there's what 18 others,
Correct.
but he does not belong at the helm. He doesn't belong, pointing forward where people have to go. That's what you do. That's what you've always done. He is a person who will steer the ship into the reef because he
I
does.
agree. I cannot
Because
agree more.
10 people will tell him there's a reef there, and he knows better, so he's going to go that direction.
Yep. No, it's just who he is, unfortunately. Look, you're probably following things. So we've embarked on a pretty aggressive initiative to renovate and rebuild our park system because it was aged. It was left alone and unmaintained for a lot of years. We both know that. Because the previous supervisor had a different philosophy on spending money, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the park system, we have 35 community parks in the middle of residential communities that are used by all of these families, and they were becoming aged out and deteriorating. So yes, we have spent since 2018 $85 million to put artificial turf baseball fields in, soccer fields, football fields. And the way we've done it, we've bonded that money long term for 15 years. So truth be told, a $1.8 million project like that cost the taxpayer $4.42 a year because we've long-term bonded it. But we're giving our children, our parents, and our seniors beautiful facilities, and they rave about them. Mr. Trotter has consistently said that I wasted $85 million of taxpayers' money. I vehemently disagree. The fabric of your community starts with those parks where we have, and beaches and marinas where we have concerts. And what he's, even more ironically, what he's saying we should have done with that money is give it to PSE&G, a utility, to bury their electric lines. And when I appear to speak to groups, I tell them, think about that. Who would take your tax dollar and give it to a private utility? You already pay massive electric bills here on Long Island. It's one of the reasons a lot of people leave. There's no logic to it. And I think I do agree 100% with you, Rob. I think unhinged is a good word. I really do. It's just how he acts. I mean, it's just, he's angry, he's unhinged. And to your point, you cannot have someone like that running a $135 million municipality. It won't work.
Not at all. And you touched on parks, and I hope to the people who watch this, please listen to me. Parks are so important. And I know we were talking about Mr. Vecchio. The guy came from, I think, like the Great Depression generation where spending money was tough. In his mind, it had to be saved. And I understood his vision. And I'll tell you, down here, this development is massive in Somerville. And there are no parks. As a matter of fact, I just became the first vice chair of the Berkeley County Republican Party because I fight so hard to put new conservatives on the school board. We took the whole school board over. And I'm working with them to create parks with all these developers. I want them to give us a couple of acres of parkland. In this town of, I don't even know how many people, 15,000, 20, it's huge, it's building. Not a single community park.
Yeah.
So, and the park behind, the baseball fields behind the middle school are horrendous. The high school fields are beautiful, everything's great. There's a new place. And people have to understand there's nowhere for the kids to go. So they're here and they're playing games and doing this. I have to take my son out on the street every day for 45 minutes to an hour. We play baseball, we everything. But to people who are watching about Smithtown, enjoy the parks, enjoy the investment in the parks because you may not realize it. But when your child has decisions to make, do I sit in the house or is there a place to go? The better the place to go is, the more it's going to pull them there and keep them out of the house with the games and being online and the online bullying and all that stuff that hurts kids. So your vision with the parks, and I'm sure you see it, many people may not. That investment, I think, is one of the most important things for kids. And so kudos to you, bravo. I see it here. There's nothing, and I miss that.
Yeah. Well, um, ironically, yesterday I had 36 uh, of the sports management presidents and vice presidents of every league. Um, and I can tell you categorically, I brought them to dinner and had some cocktails with them, and they are spreading the word. They believe in what we're doing because they see thousands of these kids on these brand new facilities. And when we go to an opening day, Rob, and you know this well, when we go to KPY opening day at Flynn Memorial Park, which is a $9 million brand new four baseball field complex, what's rewarding to me more than probably anything else is when you see the expressions on these young kids' faces when they walk onto that field to play baseball. They believe they're in a professional stadium. Um, that's what life's all about. That's the future of any community, and it's vitally important. So, we're successful. We're going to keep right on going. We have renovated about 70% of the parks, but we want to complete the other 30%.
Keep going, man. Keep going. I remember Christian went to Mills Pond, and every day he wanted to go play on the playground. He was maybe in second grade, third grade, around that age. He said, if you want to play in the playground, you have to practice baseball equal amount of time. You want to play in the playground an hour? We have to practice baseball for 30 minutes to an hour. And we did it, and you had the facilities. It was a great field. It was a turf field. So they're not going to get hurt. It was good. Here, I pick my son up at, let's just say 150, my daughter at 250. I have to go into a grassy field in front of the middle school to practice with them. And it's just like your lawn, taking bag hops to the face. What you're doing is priceless for child development. So
Yep.
great job. And he would not do that because he wouldn't think to do something for kids because he only thinks about what's in it for him, Trotta. You are thinking beyond the taxpayer. You're thinking about the taxpayers' kids, their kids. You're talking about generations of people who are going to enjoy Smithtown. He wouldn't think that.
No, I agree. It's just it's not in his psyche. That's not what it's all about for him. It's he's typical of people that get into business for the wrong reasons. Myself and Councilman Lohman, who you know well,
Good
the three
man.
of us got along wonderfully. And again, he misses you as well.
He's a
We
good guy.
we kind of wish you were here now.
Oh,
It
me
would have
too.
you could have been right in the fray with us, although you're doing
And
your
I would
part,
have.
and that's your because you're a general. You can make it work, and we know that. But that being said, we kid around a lot. There's two types of people that get in this business, and I've always said this, even back when I was a councilman. There are elected officials and there are politicians. Um, and politicians are in this for the wrong reason. They're in it for a check, um, kind of just self-aggrandizing
Power.
and do things for themselves about power. Um, and that's who they are. We consider ourselves elected officials. We're here as long as the people will have us. We're doing what we're doing for the best of the community and the future and the children here. Um, and uh, and then we let the chips fall where they may. And if you have that attitude, certainly, as you know, I'm retired. I retired in 2003. So I'm not coming in here at 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And some people ironically say, "What are you doing? What are you crazy? Your car's there at 8 o'clock. It's still there at 5 o'clock." I just enjoy public service and serving the community. And like you, I think that gets ingrained in you when you go through the military.
And you don't get overtime for that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I enjoy the work thoroughly, and that's the reason I'm running for a third term, and we're going to see what happens.
Hey, Supervisor, can you quick go through your military service?
Sure.
Because that's
So,
important.
um, I volunteered for service in the United States Navy in 1967. I
Bad
went to
time.
boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois. Um, when we were finished with basic training, my orders were to be transported to the Philippine Islands to catch CVA 31, a Bonham Richard aircraft carrier working in aviation on the flight deck. So we departed, and I spent 2 tours there in Vietnam in the South China Sea, flying missions, generally 22, 23 hours a day to support ground troops. And I worked on the flight deck as a aviation director. Actually, my assignment was in what they call the Y. That's where the angle deck and the straight deck where the catapults are on. So you launch your aircraft, your attack aircraft, and your fighter jets, and then you recover them. And first tour was I was over there in 68 and 69. First tour was 11 months. Second tour was 13 months. I returned. My home port was San Diego, California. Returned there at the end of 69. And then I finished up my service in a training command in a base at Milton, Florida. And that was for the purpose of training Navy pilots. They started in a T-28 propeller-driven plane. That's Milton Field. And then they took a hop when they succeeded from and graduated from there. They went to Pensacola, Florida, and that's where they learned how to fly jets, and then they became Navy fighter pilots. So it was a really great run, and I tell you, um, working on the flight deck of that plane and knowing that you're launching these missions to go in there and get our guys that are on the ground all the support they need and stuff. Super gratifying, even though it generally was 22 hours a day. That it was an important mission, and I did enjoy my time over there, to tell you the truth. It was a great experience for me.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I was on the Kitty Hawk for 3 years, so I
Yeah.
understand aircraft carrier living. And down here in the Port of Charleston's an aircraft carrier, so I like to go there every once in a while, and it's just like a smack in the face of what I was in '86, so almost 30 years ago. Like you see everything, the chow hall, and it was a mess hall. Yeah, it's cool.
It
But
was
just a
pretty
quick thing
amazing. It
about
was
your service. What's that?
I said it was amazing thing. One of the things that's always stuck with me is um when I landed, I was waiting for the carrier to come in, because the way that system worked, there were always 2 carriers online and 1 carrier in port. There were always 3 carriers there off in Tonkin Gulf, right off the coast of Vietnam. So um the ship, my carrier is supposed to be in port, Subic Bay, Philippines, and that's where I was um on hold. And for some reason, it got delayed on over online, so they flew me out in a C-130, and I landed on the carrier, and that was you really get to see how amazing those pilots are to come in and catch that arresting gear.
Yeah.
Um, it was pretty amazing experience. I'll never forget it. They woke me up about 4 a.m. and said, "Look, your carrier's delayed. You're going to fly out with a bunch of parts for the aircraft on there, mail for when they brought bags of mail out, and they flew us out there on that." And I remember they were going to 2 carriers, and I remember the plane captain saying, "Okay, Bonham Richard is first. We're going to land there." And I looked down, and remember when you were a kid and you used to get the cereal box with the little aircraft carrier? And well, that's what it looked like. And I was like, wow, they're going to land this plane on that little. It's a pretty great experience to see, man. It was
Yeah.
wild.
And those memories stay with you forever. You know,
Forever, forever.
I met with Lindsey Graham recently, and just on a different note, and I said, I'm going to pass a bill. I drafted the whole bill that every single Vietnam veteran who went overseas, every one of them immediately gets 100% service-connected disability and retro pay back to when they served. And he said, that's too expensive. I said, BS. We know what Doge just found of all that money, trillions going overseas.
Yep.
These guys had it the worst.
Yep.
There should be nobody who served in combat. And I didn't serve in combat. I was in combat zone, but I didn't serve in combat. Nobody who serves in combat shouldn't be 100% service connected disabled and have their medical bills paid for life, because I don't care if you were ever blown up on Route Irish in Iraq. The fact that you got to drive down it knowing there's an ID blew up on this thing 5 hours ago, just that's in your head for the rest of your life.
Sure.
And they we don't have the money for it. I said, this is going to cost a couple of billion to take care of veterans. You sent trillions overseas.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how resistant they are to giving more benefits to people who serve? Like Vietnam, we passed the we'll get into it another time because this is all about you, but that generation, those veterans, those people who served in war were the least taken care of, and we're going to fix that.
Well, you know what, Rob? I want you to, I'm with you all the way, and I want you to keep doing that because I agree with you. I think before you left, I have a major fundraising effort for Chapter 11, Vietnam Veterans of America. And coincidentally, this past Monday, they came in and they gave me a beautiful plaque for all of my contributions to helping them with funding so that they can carry on their mission, which is because of the way we were all treated coming back from Vietnam. It was a tumultuous time, as you well know. Actually, in JFK, I was spit on because I had my uniform on by a bunch of young, long-haired hippies. But what they do, they mentor veterans coming back now, because the mission of Chapter 11, which I belong to, is no veteran will ever be treated the way we were again in this country. And what they do, veterans come back, whatever difficulties they may have, whether it's family issues, whether it's substance abuse, driving while intoxicated. These Vietnam vets in Chapter 11, they mentor these people through the Veterans Court in Suffolk County.
No, it's a good
And
place.
instead of putting them in jail, if jail was warranted, they work with them and mentor them through the system so they get another opportunity. It's a great initiative, and I constantly, all year long, raise money for them because, to your point, these Vietnam vets, they get nothing. They use their own vehicles to transport these veterans to court. They put their gas in the car and pay for it themselves. You would think that, to your point, billions going overseas, you would think there was some kind of a method to fund something like that, helping these veterans that need help getting
Oh,
through
there
the
will
courts.
be. I'll tell you, my bill, it's probably about 20 pages long. I will knock on every freaking door in the house and put them on the spot because, for example, if you have TRICARE for life, they call it TRICARE for life to trick you, but it's only TRICARE until you hit 65. Because then you go on Medicare. And what happens when you're on Medicare? You start paying premiums.
Yep.
So a person who's hurt in the service, they're supposed to have that stuff paid for the rest of their lives. Now all of a sudden you hit 65, all of a sudden now you're paying Medicare premiums. It's a scam. Now we're gonna
look, keep going with the bill, and I will tell you, if you ever need my assistance, you know where to get me on that bill, because look at Tunnels to Towers. I'm also a huge contributor, and I do a lot to raise money for them. Here's a private entity raising money to help veterans, and you're kidding me. To your point, the United States government can't do that. Siller has to go out and raise this money. I have a family that supports me. They're some of my good donors. About 3 months ago, they wrote a check. They sent an envelope with my name on it and said, "We know how close you are and how you work with Tunnels to Towers, so please, on our behalf, we're giving it to you. You give it to them." And I opened it up, and it was a check for $25,000.
Gee.
But to the point, the government has a responsibility. I agree with you 100%. And here's private entity, here's you, here's me, here's Siller helping veterans that are in need. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you're an amazing man, Supervisor. My support and the support of Veterans for America First isn't just because I personally dislike Trotta and I don't trust him. I think he's dishonorable and has no integrity. This is really about you, who you are, what you've done for this country, what you've done for my hometown, Smithtown, that I miss. You're one of a kind, and I really mean that. And you have our full support. And just keep fighting. I think good is going to triumph evil in this fight in June. And I'll say a couple of prayers for you.
Well, Rob, thank you. Listen, it's really great to see you. I wish you Godspeed, you and your family. Enjoy yourself down there. Hope they fix up your parks down there and understand from you and I how important it is when you're raising kids to have a great community park system. Your endorsement is it's one of the, if not the most important endorsement that I can get. And it is greatly appreciated. And I promise you, if I'm reelected, I will serve you and your organization well.
You always have, sir. All right. Well, you take care of yourself.
You too, Robin. Please
Keep
do
fighting
not
for the
be a
little guy.
stranger. Don't be a stranger. Make sure you stay in touch with us.
You got it, sir.
All right, Rob. Great seeing you.
You too. Take care.
Take care.